and welcome to Jefficho Films. Today we'll be diving into what's hitting theaters the first few months of 2017. Let's start with January 6th, A Monster Calls. The story of a boy who seeks the help of a tree monster voiced by the great Liam Neeson in order to cope with his mother's terminal illness. Also starring Sigourney Weaver and Felicia Jones, fresh off of Rogue One, this movie based on a novel is going to have very artistic visuals and be an emotional story. There might even be crying. It's getting very positive reviews though. Also that day, Silence, Jesuit Priest vs. 17th Century Japan, directed by Scorsese, starring Andrew Garfield, Adam Driver, and badass Liam Neeson. I've heard great things about the cinematography, the story, the performances, but at 2 hours and 41 minutes, well, I'll see you on Netflix. You're no gladiator. Underworld, Blood Wars. Now, I see what you did there. Vampire movie, Blood Wars. You're getting more clever by your 5th installment. You know, the first Underworld movie was sued for 17 counts of copyright infringement. Why they didn't just buy the rights to the book they love so much, I'll never understand. The first one was decent, followed by a sequel and a prequel that had their moments, but both fell short. But not as far as the 4th Underworld, Awakening. That was painful for even me to sit through. All that said, the trailer for the new one actually looks watchable. That and the acting talents of Kate Beckinsale. But with no Scott Speedman, my expectations are lowered. Oh, and it being the 5th installment in the franchise, that has progressively gotten worse. January 13th has Mark Wahlberg's Patriots Day and Ben Affleck's Live by Night. My interest levels are low on each of these, though I hear Patriots Day is pretty good. You have a better chance at getting me to see Monster Trucks, which is literally about a monster that lives inside of a high school kid's truck.
Let's go!
Yeah, they made that. January 20th has Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage. I feel like this movie was only made because the Fast and Furious franchise won't let Vin Diesel wear his favorite coat. The action looks to be more cheesy than the first Triple X, but it does have Donnie Yen, fresh off of Rogue One, so that may be enough for me to throw away my money and hope for some mindless fun. Fingers crossed. Finishing off January, Resident Evil, The Final Chapter. The 6th and last movie in the franchise. It's kinda hard to hate on these movies. They're like the only real successful video game franchise. They have a fan base that keeps coming out. Even after a couple of decent profitable movies, they've never overextended themselves with large budgets, which is smart filmmaking. Now, the stories haven't always hit their potential, but you gotta give them credit for their persistence. Add that Paul W.S. Anderson produces, writes, and directs these movies for his wife, Milla Jovovich, who stars in them. You gotta admit, that's kinda sweet of him. Now, he's no Spielberg, but he has made some of my favorite films. Mortal Kombat, Event Horizon, Alien vs. Predator, and Death Race. He's also made some shit, but I file some of that under so bad it's good. Some of it. February 3rd, Collide. Been looking forward to this one. You got a couple of Oscar winners in Anthony Hopkins and Ben Kingsley. Then there's Nicholas Hoult, who's been knocking out great performances. Also Felicia Jones. Don't know if you've heard of it, but she's in this new movie called Rogue One. This transporter-style story isn't getting much attention, but I'm anticipating a thrilling ride with Holt saving his girlfriend from drug lords as he gets mixed up in the world of drug trafficking. Cool car chases, crafty fighting. This could be a hidden gem.
Poor Juliet.
I'm coming to get you, Juliet.
The Space Between Us. Gary Oldman and Asa Butterfield. The story about a boy born on Mars who comes to Earth in search for his father. Complications arise when he experiences organ failure because of Earth's gravity. It looks decent enough, I may give it a chance. What, I can't see every movie. Especially like teen love romance movies. I ain't got that kind of time. February 3rd also has The Comedian with De Niro. Walking the line of being charming and a witty ass. Judging solely from the trailer, it's about him having a younger girlfriend, which seems to be a recurring role for him as of late. February 10th is where it's at. I mean, you've got Lego Batman for the kids, and then you've got the sequel we've all been looking for. And I'm not talking about the new 50 Shades of Shit. I'm talking about John Wick 2. You know, I can understand Theon Greyjoy for being a dumb Russian punk who crosses Keanu in the first one, but do these people learn nothing? They put out a contract on the greatest contract killer. Good move. I like that the movie continues the story of the first film, that the contract is a consequence of Wick stepping back into the assassin's world, a good supporting cast, and more importantly, Keanu's commitment to the role. February 17th, Patient Zero. Too many movies are called Patient Zero, and like many of them, this one has zombies. The difference, someone learns to communicate with them. Okay, until I see a trailer, I have no excitement for this movie. I wouldn't even mention it if it wasn't for the fact that it's got Matt Smith in it, of Doctor Who fame, and Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones. It could be shit, but sometimes seeing the actors you like is worth watching shit. We shall see. Next up, The Great Wall. Finally, we get the answer to why the Great Wall of China was built, to keep out dragon-like creatures. Makes logical sense to me. I'd say you have to like Asian cinema to enjoy this, but although its director is from China, it was written by a bunch of white dudes. But judging from the plot, it looks like they've done their research. This movie will probably be cheesy and suck, but it's got Matt Damon, William Dafoe, and Pedro Pascal, Oberyn Martell himself from Game of Thrones. Just look at those beautiful eyes. Just look at them. I hope he gets some decent screen time, trying to protect Damon's character before he inevitably dies. Last but not least, A Cure for Wellness, starring Dane DeHaan, playing an ambitious young executive sent to retrieve his company's CEO from a wellness center in a remote location. Through an accident, he becomes a patient there. Undergoing questionable treatments and encountering less than sane people, this movie has mindfuck written all over it. It's gonna have cool conspiracies, wicked imagery. What more could you ask for?
I wanna be sedated. Just put me in a wheelchair. Can't control my brain.
Well, that's it. My list for January and February 2017. Let us know below which ones you're most looking forward to. 2016 had a lot of disappointments, but I think in 2017, the hype will measure up. And as always, thanks for watching.